Hi, I'm Hannah Hasty, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to find the maximums and minimums on graphs along with the intervals of increasing and decreasing. To start off with, let me show you what a maximum and a minimum is. Let's say your graph looks like this. Your maximums are going to be the highest points on your graph or the highest slopes. So for example, these are the maximums. Well, your minimum is going to be the lowest points on the slope. This is your minimum. Maximum and minimums can be found by using a graphing calculator. For our first example, let's use the equation 3x squared minus 4x minus 2. Plug that into your graphing calculator by using the y equals button. And then hit graph. Your graph should look something like this. It's only going to have one minimum because it only has one slope and it's towards the bottom. To find the exact minimum, you're going to hit second, trace, and then you're going to go to number 3, which is minimum, and hit enter. It then says left bound, so you're going to want to go to the left side of the slope, which is already there. Hit enter. It then says right bound, so using the arrows, move to the right side. Like that. Hit enter again. It asks for a guess. You don't have to worry about that, so hit enter one more time. Your answer should be x equals 0.66 and y equals negative 3.33. That is your minimum. Let's do another example to find the maximum and minimums. Plug into your calculator negative x to the third power plus x. Hit graph. It's kind of hard to see which one is the max and which one is the min, so you're going to want to zoom in. To do that, hit zoom and then go to 2. Hit enter. Now you can tell that this is definitely the minimum and this is definitely the maximum. So let's start out by finding the minimum. Press second, trace. Go down to 3, minimum. Hit enter. It's going to ask you to go left bound. So move to the left of the minimum. Hit enter. And then to the right. Enter. And remember, don't worry about the guess. Hit enter again. Your x should come out to the value of negative 0.57, while your y should be negative 0.38. That is your minimum. Now we have to find the maximum. Once again, hit second, trace, and this time you're going to go down to number 4, maximum. Enter. Now you have to go to the maximum slope. So go to the right side of the maximum slope, hit enter, and then using the arrows, move all the way to the left. Hit enter. And then enter again. It should come out to x equals 0.57 and y equals 0.38. That is your maximum. Let's try one last example for finding the max and min. This time I'm going to talk you through it, but you're going to do it on your own. So, plugging into y equals on your calculator, plug in x to the 4th minus 4x squared minus 2x. Hit graph. Your graph should look like this. Now, in this situation, you have 2 minimums and 1 maximum. Let's start off by finding the first minimum. Go ahead and do that yourself. Hit second, trace, go down to 3, hit enter, go left bound, right bound, and hit enter again. Your minimum should be x equals negative 1.26 and y equals negative 1.31. Now remember, that's only one of the minimums. Now, moving from left to right, let's go to the maximum. So second, trace, down to 4, enter. Left bound, enter. Right bound, enter. And then enter again. Your maximum should be negative 0.25 for the x value, and for the y value, 0.25. That's your maximum. Now, let's do your second minimum. Second, trace, down to 3, enter. Left bound, enter. Right bound, enter. And then enter again. Now, your minimum should be x equals 1.5 and y equals negative 6.94. And that's for that graph. Now I'm going to teach you how to solve for maximum and minimums by hand, but only for quadratic equations. A quadratic equation is when the highest exponent in the equation is 2. A quadratic equation is going to look like one of these graphs. If it is negative, it is going to open down and it's going to have 1 maximum. If it is positive, it is going to open up and it's going to have 1 minimum. To find either the maximum or the minimum in a quadratic equation, you must first find the vertex, which is either the maximum or the minimum. Let's first start off by using the equation x squared plus 6x plus 3. It's going to have 1 minimum because it's positive and opens up. When finding the vertex, you must first find the x-coordinate. To do that, you use the equation negative b over 2a, where b is the 6 and a is the number in front of the x squared, which in this case is 1. So, you're going to have negative b, so negative 6 over 2 times 1, so over 2, which simplifies to negative 3. So your x-coordinate is negative 3. Now to find the y-coordinate, you're going to plug that negative 3 back into the original equation in place of the x. So you will have negative 3 squared plus 6 times negative 3 plus 3. That is 9 minus 18 plus 3, which equals negative 6. Therefore, y equals negative 6. Now you have your x-coordinate and your y-coordinate, which creates your vertex, and in this case, the minimum. So your minimum is negative 3, negative 6. Now let's talk about how to find the intervals of increasing and decreasing. When using this, you're only going to use the x-coordinates. Let's look at a graph. On this graph, you have 1 maximum and 1 minimum. Let's say your maximum is negative 3, 6, and your minimum is 3, negative 6. Notice that here, the graph will continue on and on and on, and you're on the negative side of the plane. So it's negative infinity. On this side, it's continuing up, and it will just keep continuing. So you're at infinity. Now, when doing increasing and decreasing, you're always going to go from the left of the graph to the right of the graph. So you're going to start at the very bottom point, which is negative infinity. And then you're increasing because you're going up to negative 3. So your first step is increasing negative infinity to negative 3. Now once you're at negative 3, you're going down in the graph to positive 3, because remember, you're only using x coordinates. So since you're going down, you're decreasing. So you're decreasing from negative 3 to positive 3. Now once you're at positive 3, you just keep on continuing. It never stops. So you're hitting infinity. So once again, you're increasing from 3 to infinity. Now let's start off with this simple example. Graph x squared plus 1. Your graph should look something like this. Now, knowing that there's a minimum here, you should be able to figure out that the vertex is at 0, 1. So, moving left to right, you start over here, on the left. Since it's continue up, you're at infinity, but you're on the negative side, so it's negative infinity. And you're decreasing because you're going down to 0. Remember, x coordinates only. So, decreasing from negative infinity to 0. Now from 0, you just keep going up and on and on and on to positive infinity. So 0 all the way up to positive infinity, and you're increasing. And that's easy for that graph. Easy enough. For the next example, you're going to do it on your own. Graph y equals x to the third power minus 2x minus 1. You can do that using your graphing calculator or by hand if you know how. You should know how to find the maximums and minimums by the calculator from what I showed you earlier. Go ahead and do that. Okay, your graph should look like this. You should have got a maximum at negative 0.82 and 0.09, and a minimum at 0.82, negative 2.09. So, starting from left to right and using only the x coordinates, you start at negative infinity and you increase to negative 0.82. Then, from there, you start negative 0.82 and decrease to 0.82. Finally, from 0.82, you increase to positive infinity. Make sure when writing the intervals of increasing and decreasing that you're writing them just like a coordinate using parentheses. Just remember, always use the x coordinates, no y coordinates. Well, that's it. I hope you now have an understanding of maximums and minimums along with intervals of increasing and decreasing. Bye!